Hello, hello. Hi, everybody. Welcome, welcome. I have a very special guest with me today. I have author Karen B. Shea. Hi, Karen.
Hi, Miriam. So good to be here.
It's your book launch day. How do you feel?
Oh my gosh. Well, I said a little bit. I don't know if I'm coming or going right at the moment, but I'm having a good time. I'm loving it. It's fun.
Well, that's important. Having a good time and loving it. That's so good. So, please tell everybody the name of your book. Let's show them.
So, a bug-lightful discovery.
Nice.
Karen B. Shea, illustrator Luella Jane Wright. So,
Oh, such a beautiful, first of all, the look of the book. I love the
uh,
colors. Love the colors, and then I got into the story, and I especially love the story. So, before we go there, please share what inspired you to write this book?
so what inspired me was this little gal. Amelia. So I spend my summers at my summer cabin in Wyoming, and she visits her grandparents that are a couple cabins down. And we had a little encounter on my porch one morning, and um, she didn't like my reaction to a bug landing on the deck, and I didn't like her reaction. And so, like a typical 7-year-old would do, she then stomped off and went to Grandma Jane's. And I spent the rest of the day thinking about it. And then I realized, man, that is a good message to get out to kids of all shapes, sizes, and wherever they live, because the message in the book is everything has a purpose, whether we know it or not. And
Mhm.
so the inspiration was Amelia, and the message was that. And I just thought, we got to get our kids really connected to nature, in my opinion. So I felt
Yes.
writing a book, a children's book, would be a great way to get that message out there.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. So, what is the book about, and who would you say that the book is for?
So the book is for kids probably 6 to 8, 5 to 8, somewhere in that range. And um it's for, any the best people it would be for are people that kind of have a fear of bugs, actually, because
Mm,
the message is everything has a purpose, whether we know it or not. And I do use bugs to set the example for Amelia as she goes about her mission to understand the bugs around her. And she ends up having this aha light bulb moment in which she makes a connection to something she does earlier in the book, which is stomping on a spider, which we've all most likely have done at some
mhm.
stage of our life. But then she sees, through another experience later in the book with a hummingbird, how that her reaction could then affect, the hummingbird and what it's trying to do to survive. So it's just a good full circle moment, and
Mhm.
just a good, really, I think, a good teaching opportunity.
Mm, and you did it so beautifully. It was
Oh,
just
thank you.
I was saying to you, I love this little girl, 7-year-old little girl who is on a mission to discover and to learn. I love the illustrations of her with the book. She can't
Yeah.
play because she's gotta go discover. So,
Yep.
Karen, I wanna commend you on that because that is a hard thing to do, to write a book where we're not too preachy to the
Mm,
child reading the book, but you did that in a way that the child discovers the message for herself.
yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you. I did have a wee bit of help from a wonderful editor named Sharon. So I do hats off to Sharon for helping me tone the story down a little bit so it wasn't quite so harsh, but still enjoyable and can get the message across in a
Mhm.
good way.
Yes. Well, it always takes a team, right? And you
Yeah.
listen to the feedback from your editor, which is really, really important.
Yep.
So, what is it that you hope that parents and kids will take away from this book?
What I hope they take away is that everything that we do has a ripple effect, you know?
Yes.
Because I know that's a big message for, a 7, 8-year-old, but if we can kind of plant the seed now, then
Hmm.
as they get older, they've already got a pretty strong foundation. And just knowing that even though bugs are small and, in my mind, probably the most dismissive critters on this earth because they're so tiny, right? You don't think what's one spider, right? What's a fly? But when you really go into it and when you start to understand you realize the bigger picture and, how much they bring to the world and how important they are. And without
Mhm,
bugs, we probably wouldn't be here. So
mhm.
we do need to figure out a way to live with them.
Everything has a purpose. I love that. Thank you for sharing. Well, you've got a lot of comments already. People here supporting you, Ferial, Jordan, Michelle, Allison, and they're saying things like, congratulations, happy book launch day, love to hear the origin story. A beautiful book and beautiful message. Bugs are beautiful, and I'm so happy you wrote about this important topic from Ferial.
Aw.
Hazel says congratulations. And Chelsea says, hi, Karen. Hi, Bumble. Tell us about Bumble. I
I was
suspect
gonna
that's
say to Ariel too. Here's my bumblebee because Ariel is into bees. She's a bee. She raises bees. Yeah, so Bumble is going to be my mascot and chaperone when I go to visit kids. And what's really actually funny after I bought him because he's kind of big and he's got some weight to him. And when I was reading the tag, it's like a therapy stuffed animal. So like if you have anxiety, I'm
okay.
thinking, oh my gosh, I'm gonna definitely need him when I go sit in front of 30 little kids. Kids can
You
be
are
kind of scary.
you are going to be fine. You have experience with your neighbor at the cabin. So
That's
I am curious, what did she say when she saw the book?
oh
And
my
the
gosh.
character, is that what she looks like?
Really, it turned out really well because we did do a book reveal on Saturday evening for her and her whole family and cousins and siblings and everybody was there. And she was over the moon. She just loves me right now. I am like her
Yeah.
favorite human on earth because she's never been in a book before, as she likes to say. And so she's the star, because her
Yes.
sisters and her brother, they're just, co-stars. She's already got a movie made.
Oh,
She's got the
wow.
movie going in her head already.
So nice, so nice. Well, one last shout out to your illustrator because I mean, I see
Mhm.
you made an appearance
I
there, and that I mean, she just looks exactly like you. That's how I knew it was you.
I know, isn't that funny? Yeah, so I am Ms. Z in the story. That was my code name, so it wasn't so obvious that it was the same as the name on the front of
Yes,
the book. But
fun, fun, fun.
yeah.
Excuse me. I want to know a little bit more about your journey, Karen. So, let me ask you this: how long have you been thinking about writing a children's book for?
Well, this one came to me really, really quick because it was literally last summer, that throughout that day, and I thought, "Oh, this is a good message to share." And
Hmm.
so then I found you and your publishing group, and you've got this beautiful roadmap and a support system, and so you've helped guide me throughout this past year. Prior to that, I wrote another book about a mountain beaver that lives in my yard, and that was about 8 years ago, and that book took about 4 years, to write. Not necessarily to write, but to get all the components and, the illustrator and the design and all that together and then out, and so that was self-published, and I probably made every mistake in the book, and it's a cute book. So there's Clark,
Yes. Yes.
but it's actually a picture book on steroids because it's a little long and it's a little wordy. But mountain beavers are our most primitive living rodent in the United States here. They only live in the Pacific Northwest. So when you're that primitive, you got a lot of things to say, and a lot of people don't even know about him. So
Mm.
that's that's my excuse for it being a little wordy. But
Yeah.
so after the Clark book, I mean, it was a challenging process and it was an incredible learning experience. But I love the fact that we can write these amazing little books and get them into so many hands. I mean, that's really the goal with most of all my books, right? Just to get them as many kids' hands as possible so they can learn and they can
Mhm.
grow. And I just really, really, I love nature. So I just want to connect kids with nature so that they have that connection and they'll help protect and preserve it as they get older and move forward.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. So, what would you say was the biggest challenge when writing this book, your brand new book?
So this go around, it was with the illustrations, and I love my illustrator. She did an amazing, amazing job. But I did choose somebody outside of the United States where I live, and she's in England. And I didn't think there was a really big a difference between England and the United States. But when it comes to geography and terminology, even there were some interesting, differences in how what we call things and what they call things. So there was a little bit of a learning curve there for both of
Mm.
us,
Mhm.
actually. She had never been, to the Wild West, as I'm calling Wyoming, and she didn't understand national forest and cabins. When I first told her about the cabin, she was like, "You really live in cabins out there?" I'm like, "Okay, well, we do have running water and electricity, but yes, sometimes we do for the summer." So that was a little bit of a learning curve. So the key with that is if you were to choose somebody, this would be my message to other authors. If you choose somebody, outside of your location, communication, make sure there's a good avenue for communication. And there's so many ways
Mhm.
to communicate these days, but that's really the key. And make sure you have a good solid foundation and they have a good solid understanding of where you want to go with your book, and ask a lot of questions and have them ask a lot of questions.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a great message, for other people, and she did do a beautiful job. It was
Sh-
like you
sh-
said, it was communicating what a
Yes.
cabin looks like, what that lifestyle is like.
Yeah, and I chose her because I love the way that she did do people, and I
Mhm.
loved her use of color and texture and things like that. So yeah, she did a beautiful job. I
Yes.
really
Yeah.
very happy with how it.
Yes. So, Karen, now on biggest lesson. What would you say was the biggest lesson you learned during the publishing process for this book?
Okay, so my biggest lesson was get out of your head. I mean,
Oh.
there were some times I like photography, so when it comes to nature photography, right, it's reality, it's realistic, it's you got to depict this animal so nobody gets confused or has misconceptions. And one of the conversations with the illustrator and her agent was really apropos, quite because the agent started out with, "Okay, Karen, you picked an illustrator for a reason." And I was like, "Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Good thought. Okay, I get me out of my head." So I got stuck in my head a little bit more than I would have liked to through this
Okay. So
process.
get out of your head, and you're saying, like, trust some of the experts that you is that what you're saying?
Well, trust I kind of trust the universe, trust the flow. I think I got a little controlling a few
Okay.
times. And again, illustrations are different than photographs, right? They're supposed to be a depiction of something, not an exact something, right? But yeah, just to, trust the process, breathe, and don't
Mhm.
be so analytical. I mean, you clearly there are things we have to do to make, step 1 lead to step 2 and all of that. But, it should be a fun process. It should be a
Yes.
fun process. So, the more you get in your head, the more adult stuff, gets in the way,
Yes.
and then
Yeah.
it's not as much fun. But it was a good process, but there were a couple times I did get stuck in my head and I was like, "Oh my goodness."
Yeah. Good advice, good advice. So, now you have this published beautiful book.
Yeah.
Let's tell everybody you're a best-selling author. I saw it at number 1 new release this morning.
Aw,
It's doing
yeah,
really, really well. So,
thank you.
what is the best part of accomplishing this dream of publishing this book for you?
The best part is just well, I gotta admit, the best part was seeing the Amelia's face when she saw
Yes.
the book, and just how proud and excited she is. And, even her sisters and brother that are in the book, her brother is already like, "Okay, well, I didn't even say anything, so maybe you could do a book on me next time." So I'm like, "Okay, we'll work on that." But, the best part is knowing that you've put something that you've put a lot of pride and passion, and
Mhm.
it can touch other people's lives, and the kids are really the most important thing to me at this point. If
Oh,
I can
so
get
be
just enough kids to get connected to nature and to think twice before stomping on a bug, that would be awesome.
yes, and I don't know what child will read this book and after that not feel that they all have a purpose. We
Yeah,
all have a purpose.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Thank you.
Mhm. So we have a lot of aspiring children's book authors that follow us. Now that you are a two-time children's book author, a best-selling children's book author, what advice do you have for an aspiring children's book author?
My advice would be to just stay in your follow your heart. You know, you know what brings you joy, and I
Mhm.
would just keep following the path that brings you joy because we all get hung up that, it's got to be perfect, it's got to be this, it's got to be that. But you know what? If you're following your heart and you're just putting out your passion and what you truly believe in, people are going to connect with that and feel that. And kids
Yeah.
especially. And they need little roadmaps. They need little, uh, books like this and of all kinds of topics just to point them in the right direction or give them a little bit of inspiration or belief in themselves even. There's just so many avenues now to get a book out there that
Mhm.
if you've got a dream of writing a book, this is the time to be able to do it. So just
Yes.
just do it.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's perfect. I truly think with books with so many great topics for children, we can change the world, right?
Oh,
If
absolutely.
children are reminded about the purpose of the bugs and animals, I mean, how can we
Mhm.
not change the world with that? So, thank you for writing this book, Karen.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And I want to remind our friends here, go to Amazon today and purchase a copy of
Yeah, yeah,
this
yeah.
book. It's available. I have the soft cover, you've got a
I
hardcover
got a
there.
hardcover, yeah.
Yes, and it's also an ebook format. So it's available on Amazon.ca and Amazon.com.
Yep.
And sh- Karen, where can our viewers find you? So outside of Amazon, where can they find you?
I have a website, karenbshea.com, and that has
Okay,
all the books I've written or have been written stories for. And I'm on Facebook at Karen B. Shea Author, and I'm on Instagram at Karen B. Shea. So any one of
excellent.
those two platforms.
Excellent. Thank you, Karen. So many people here leaving you great comments. Laura says, follow your heart. She quoted you, I believe. Follow your heart to the path that brings you joy. Love
Yeah.
that, Karen.
Aw.
Uh, yeah, so good. I'll let you answer to everybody later, but make sure to grab a copy of the book. What are you doing to celebrate this?
I've got a bottle of bubbly champagne in the refrigerator
Yes,
for a little bit later.
that's
Um,
great.
you're right. Yeah, I'm going. My celebration is responding to to all these amazing posts that my ambassadors have put out there for me. So to all the people that are supporting me in this process, I just adore you. I love you. Thank you very, very much. Can't do it all
Yeah,
on your own. And Miriam,
for
your
sure.
team, amazing. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Before we go, Karen, is there anything else you'd like to share? Something you wish I would have asked you, or just something else that comes up before we go?
Um, not no, just, to everybody out there, this isn't just for kids. Us adults can kind of reverse course a little bit too. And so do your best to appreciate nature and the trees and the animals and even our little bugs out there.
Yes.
So,
Yeah. Well, congratulations, Karen. I'm so proud of you. Friends,
thank
go grab a copy of A Bug Lightful Discovery today, and I will see you very soon. Thank you, everybody. Bye, Karen.
you. Thanks, Miriam. Bye.
Bye.